My name is Roderick C. Dix, financial advisor and founder of the Goods Virtual World. Welcome to Good Wealth. This is where we don't just prepare you to pass exams. We prepare you to understand the system at a level most people never reach. What you're about to learn is the foundation of Series 6, but we're not stopping at the exam level. We're building this at a professional level. Let's start at the only place that matters, the client. Before you recommend anything, before you allocate capital, before any transaction occurs, you must understand the individual. This is known as KYC, Know Your Customer. Write this down. KYC is the foundation of every recommendation. Now let's move from concept to precision. Per FINRA Rule 4512, there are 4 non-negotiable data points required to establish the essential facts of a customer account. Write this down exactly. Name, physical address, date of birth, social security number or tax identification number. That word matters. Physical address. Per the USA PATRIOT Act, a P.O. box is not sufficient. Pause and think. If a question asks for required account information, and one of the answer choices is a P.O. box, what should your instinct be? It is incorrect. That is a common trap. Now let's apply it. Which of the following is required to open a new account? A. Annual income. B. Investment objective. C. Social security number. D. Net worth. The correct answer is C, because Social Security number is part of the required identification under FINRA Rule 4512. The others matter, but not at the account opening level. Now we separate the system. There are 2 distinct layers. Layer 1 is identification. Layer 2 is suitability. Write this down. Identification establishes the account. Suitability governs the recommendation. Most people fail because they mix these. The exam is designed to test that confusion. Now we move into suitability. Suitability is the legal standard required at the Series 6 level. It asks one question. Is this investment appropriate for the client? Not the best, not the highest return. Appropriate. Now we elevate. While the Series 6 tests suitability, elite advisors operate under a fiduciary mindset. Suitability asks, is this acceptable? Fiduciary thinking asks, is this the best possible decision for this client? Write this down. Suitability is the floor. Fiduciary thinking is the ceiling. We learn the floor so we can build the ceiling. Now let's bring in real-world structure. You have 2 clients. Client 1, 25 years old, long time horizon, stable income. Client 2, 70 years old, retired, needs income. Now we elevate the language. Client 1 is prioritizing capital appreciation. Client 2 is prioritizing capital preservation. Write this down. Capital preservation protects principal. Capital appreciation grows principal. Now here is the Ivy League distinction. Risk capacity versus risk tolerance. Risk capacity is the financial ability to absorb loss. Risk tolerance is the emotional willingness to take risk. Pause and think. If a client says they are comfortable with risk, but cannot financially absorb a loss, which one matters more? Risk capacity. Write this down. Risk capacity overrides risk tolerance. Now let's apply this. A 70-year-old retiree with limited income needs stability and income. Which investment is most suitable? A. Aggressive growth fund. B. Sector fund. C. Income fund. D. Emerging markets fund. The correct answer is C, because the client is prioritizing capital preservation and income generation, not growth, not volatility. And here is the deeper layer most people miss. Choosing C, the income fund, mitigates inflation risk while providing the liquidity necessary for the client's current time horizon. Now let's break that down. Inflation risk is the risk that purchasing power declines over time. If a client is too conservative, their capital may lose value in real terms. An income fund helps offset that by generating consistent returns. Liquidity means access to capital when needed. At this stage in life, the client cannot afford to have capital locked into volatile or long-term positions. Time horizon matters. This client is not investing for long-term growth. They are investing for immediate income needs. So the correct decision is not about safe versus risky. It is about aligning capital preservation, income generation, liquidity, time horizon. Write this down. Elite decisions balance multiple risks, not just volatility. Now let's move into behavior, because this is where real-world failure happens. A client invests capital. The market declines 15%. They panic and sell. This is not random. This is prospect theory. Specifically, loss aversion. The psychological pain of loss is approximately twice as powerful as the satisfaction of gain.
Pause and think. If a client loses $10,000, how does that feel compared to gaining $10,000?
The loss feels worse. Write this down. Loss aversion drives irrational decisions. Your job is not just to manage capital, it is to mitigate behavioral risk. You cannot avoid risk. You can only manage and mitigate it. Now bring everything together. Before you allocate capital, you must understand the client's objectives, their risk capacity, their risk tolerance, their time horizon, their behavioral tendencies. This is not product selection. This is decision architecture. Now, final question. Which of the following best describes suitability? A. Selecting the highest return investment. B. Matching investments to client objectives and risk profile. C. Choosing the lowest cost option. D. Recommending diversified portfolios. The correct answer is B, because suitability is about alignment. Now write this down. Final lock. Do not skip.
Per FINRA Rule 4512, 4 elements are required to open an account. A physical address is required under the USA PATRIOT Act. Identification and suitability are separate concepts. Suitability is the legal standard. Fiduciary thinking is the professional standard. Capital preservation and capital appreciation drive decisions. Risk capacity overrides risk tolerance. Loss aversion influences behavior. You mitigate risk, not avoid it. Client objectives determine every recommendation. Elite decisions balance multiple risks simultaneously. If you understand this at this level, you are no longer preparing for an exam. You are thinking like someone inside the system. And that is the difference between passing and operating at an elite level. You just got the goods from the goods.